Hello and welcome to the next episode of Cinetastique. In this episode, I will be showing you my personal top 10 villain entrances in film and cinema. This is going to be a personal list, my personal favourites. These are going to be some of yours as well. Only one way to find out. Let's get into it. Now, just before we start, feel free to like the video. Join me on Patreon if you want to see more of this sort of content, and follow me on Facebook as well. So let's get into it. Top 10 villain entrances. Number 10, Kaiser Soze. Kicking off our list is perhaps the only villain whose entrance takes place at the end of their film. The shadowy criminal boogeyman known as Kaiser Soze is introduced to us in one of cinema's greatest plot twists. The crippled conman who's been telling us the tale that is the usual suspects was the shadowy figure all along.
Verbal, because you're a cripple.
What I want to know is who's the gimp.
You know the whole fucking time.
How do I know that?
If he comes up for anything, he's going to get rid of me.
But I'm sure Keaton is dead.
I can't feel my legs. Kaiser.
First thing I learned on the job, you know what it was? How to spot a murderer.
You told me you got the cripple in there from New York.
Yeah.
He mentioned Kaiser Soze.
Who?
After that, my guess is you'll never hear from him again. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And like that, he's gone.
Number 9, Hans Gruber. Organised to a T and dressed by the best tailors in London, Hans Gruber seizes control of the Nakatomi Towers under the pretext of terrorism, whose real goal is far simpler than revolutionism. He's got his eye on the money, all $640 million worth of negotiable bearer bonds. The speed, efficiency and eloquence of this German thief makes an entrance you remember. Number 8, Hannibal Lecter. Trapped forever in a cell behind a sheet of thick glass, Hannibal Lecter is so dangerous that his jailers simply cannot risk placing him behind mere bars. Played to perfection by Sir Anthony Hopkins, Dr. Hannibal Lecter is cinema's most famous psychiatrist with a taste for humanity. His entrance begins with polite simplicity before a sudden rise to crescendo with the good doctor sending his visitor Clarice off on a mission. Intense and unforgettable, Hannibal Lecter steals every scene he's got in The Silence of the Lambs.
Go now. I don't think Mix could manage again quite so soon, even though he is crazy. Go now!
Number 7, The Joker. 1989's Batman makes us wait for the next villain's entrance, and then it is wonderfully drawn out. First, we're in the shadows of a basement plastic surgeon's theatre, then in the high-rise apartment office of crime boss Carl Grissom, where Jack Napier walks out of the elevator cloaked in shadows. But there is an unhinged edge to Jack by now. Then, in great flourish, the Joker reveals himself in all his mad glory, blowing away his boss to joyous circus music, and in that instant the Joker establishes himself as the clown prince of crime. Actor Jack Nicholson chews the scenery every time he's on screen and plays the Joker with delightful relish. Number 6, Ra. We travel to the other side of the known universe for our next villain, to the sands of the desert world Abydos. There, in the Great Pyramid starship, to the magnificent drums and choral vocals of ancient worshippers, comes the God King Ra, the most powerful of the system lords who rule across the stars. Surrounded by loyal children and speaking in ancient Egyptian, the system lord Ra is by far the most regal and imperious of this list's villains. Number 5. Emperor Palpatine. From Stargates to Star Wars, number 5 brings us to the Death Star 2.0 and finally the Emperor's grand entrance into the original Star Wars trilogy. Swarms of TIE fighters encircle the Death Star, legions of stormtroopers line up in formation. Darth Vader himself falls to one knee, head bowed, as the Emperor of the Galactic Empire walks slowly, aided by a gnarled cane. This ancient black-cloaked figure looks frail, but there is an immense power within the Emperor's frail form. Number 4. Khan Noonien Singh. From one genre-defining franchise to the one that sits head and shoulders above all others, Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan brings us our number 4 on today's list. The genetically enhanced Superman from Earth's 1990s, Khan Noonien Singh. His entrance is slow and deliberate. Khan is a man who is not in a hurry. He commands the scene and dictates its pace like no other. Khan wastes no time. His entrance also affords an opportunity to escape the hell he and his men have been trapped on, and he seizes it without hesitation. Number 3. Darth Vader. The Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader made an entrance in A New Hope, the beginning of the original Star Wars trilogy, but it was only made memorable with John Williams' brilliant score. The visuals and camera work were quite basic. It would not be until the standalone film Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, that Darth Vader would get the cinematic entrance he rightfully deserves. From being cloaked in smoke and silhouetted massively upon the wall behind his subordinate, Director Krennic, Darth Vader fills the vast audience chamber with menace and authority. The camera work, music and cinematography all work in unison to deliver a true cinematic entrance.
Director Krennic. Lord Vader.
Number 2. Alien. In the history of dinner scenes from hell, none are more shocking than the one that took place aboard the starship Nostromo in deep space. Amidst ordinary conversation and meals, Crewman Kane starts to cough and feel a discomfort in his chest. He quickly begins to spasm and writhe upon the table, and it is when his crewmates are surrounding him, trying to help him, that our number 2 makes its entrance. By bursting through Kane's chest, spraying blood across the other crew, they look on in shock as Kane's chest is ripped open and a small blood-soaked creature with a mouth full of vicious little teeth pop up, snarls at them, and dashes off into the shadows of the starship. It is a shocking, gross scene, definitely worth our number 2 spot. Honourable mentions: Alien Invasion Fleet, Independence Day. Honourable mention must go to the Alien Invasion Fleet from ID4 Independence Day. They take fully the first 20 minutes of the film to go from their first appearance over the moon to the Earth orbit of their mothership and the dispatch of their smaller, city-sized craft, which eventually settle over the major capitals of the world. their slow transition along with the film's brilliant score and the curiosity, then intense fear and panic of the world's populaces and the scrambling of government and military agencies makes this entrance one to remember. Don Vito Corleone, The Godfather. In a masterclass of restraint, the opening shot takes almost 2 minutes in an agonizingly slow, tracking out shot, and then we see from behind a blurry foregrounded figure. Don Vito Corleone is a man in the shadows, pulling the strings on a crime empire that spans New York. Finally, at almost 3 minutes, the Don is finally revealed, dressed in his best suit with a red rose in jacket lapel, deadliest lord of the Cosa Nostra. And now for our number one. Skeletor, Masters of the Universe. The live-action version of the 1980s phenomenon cartoon that was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe may not have lived up to the hype and anticipation for this film, but it certainly gave us one of cinema's most masterful villainous entrances and performances. Frank Langella plays Lord Skeletor and brings a gravitas and dark Shakespearean element to the character. The very first scene shows Skeletor in long shot, the soundscape dominated by the thunder of his Havoc staff, slamming down upon the ground as Lord Skeletor marches up a long walkway towards the much-desired throne of Castle Grayskull. His billowing cape and the marching score from Bill Conti makes this entrance my personal favourite of all else.
I assure you, we will have him before the day is out.
I want him kneeling at my feet.
After all this time, Grayskull is ours.
Ow! Mine.
It hits the nostalgia as well, as I grew up with this film and it later inspired my own writing. Skeletor owns this scene and every scene he is in throughout this film, and we are absolutely blessed that actor Frank Langella poured so much passion into the character. Kudos as well to Meg Foster's Evil Lynn, who is a fantastic counterpoint to Skeletor's dramatic and bombastic nature.
Those who do not pledge themselves to me shall be destroyed! The new age begins.
So, that was our list. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a bit of entertainment from that. Was any of your personal favourites on there? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your own top 10s. Is it the same as mine? Is it completely different? Only one way to find out. Shout me in the comments. Till next time, have a great time and keep watching cinema. Ciao.